California.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were just reminding each other how long it's been since we have known each other, and you've been in the workshop, and it's been a delightful journey watching your continued unfoldment, expansion, and watching your career blossom into your dreams, which we're going to get into in a second, and that's been a lot of fun. You know, for many of the women who join my workshop, their career is not where they want it to be. And on the surface, Erin, your career looked pretty decent. Now, you were going through a personal transition, going through a divorce at the time, and needing to sort out what that looked like as a divorced mom and parenting two young girls. So there was that kind of in the background. But you sort of knew that there was a career that needed to be shifted and altered. Give us the color on where you were when we first, or maybe right before we began working together.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yes, it was a lot of just a tumultuous time, as it is coming out of divorce. And I had not been I was in Los Angeles at the time, and I hadn't been there all that long. I had moved a couple years before from Denver, and I was working for a firm. I was an organizational consultant with this wonderful firm, had a most amazing boss and mentor, doing really beautiful, meaningful work with different kinds of organizational clients. So we would help clients navigate different kinds of organizations and companies, navigate change and build culture and all of these things. And so on paper, like, I loved my boss, it was meaningful work. You know, I had actually benefited directly because I had actually been a client of the firm when I led a nonprofit, which was my job before that. And so there was nothing wrong, right? And what's that?
It looked perfect.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I had a wonderful team. Like, there was all these things. So, I knew there was some part of, it was almost like, it wasn't my mission. It was important work. And I loved the man's mission, you know, whose mission it was, and it wasn't mine. And I think that's when I found out I wasn't even, I wasn't even looking. I didn't know that I needed you. But a friend of mine was in the workshop getting wonderful results, and hearing me talk about my career was like, I think you might want to take a look at this. Right. So that's how I ended up on the phone with you.
Yeah. And so just, you know, my work very well at this point. So for folks who are listening to this maybe for the first time or just hearing about this. So what typically happens is that you have a friend, like your lovely friend who we got to see again in LA a couple of weeks ago. Or a Facebook ad mysteriously gets delivered into your Facebook feed, and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed to see. And I hear that so much from a lot of the clients who are in the workshop. It's like, at the right time, I just needed to see that message.
Yeah.
And so from there, we book a clarity call.
Yep.
And as we're going through that, like, even if it's a friend who refers a friend, I'm not sure if there's the right blend of what I do. So we got to make sure that that's what's going on. So we had that clarity call. And I remember hearing you say things about this big dream that was in your heart. You weren't even sure what it was.
Right.
But it was speaking to you so loudly that you could no longer ignore. And I'm like, well, we can help you unearth that and figure that out. But I also felt compelled that you needed to get this job sort of right-sized.
Exactly.
So as soon as we got into the workshop, what were some of the things that you started kind of putting together or realizing for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, so without your help to make thoughtful, like, decisions I can tend to be, I'm visionary style, creative thinker. And what you helped me was like, okay, great, we're going to nurture that. We're going to help you unearth the dream. And what you're telling me is that let's have a method here. Let's have a sequence. And so being able to immediately feel like I was in this space with you where I could both be the dreamer and really, like, have your help to hear, listening in more to that, what was a whisper that had been getting louder and louder, but it was still, didn't have form, right? And so to have your help both being able to, like, okay, but right now, like, let's leverage where you are, your talents, your gifts, the opportunity that you're already in, and let's make sure that that's in the most, you know, in your strongest position. And I didn't know how to do that when I met you.
Yeah.
So I mean, you helped me double my income at the time, because really what I needed was having your coaching to help know what to be asking for financially and how to even think about some of what was already available. Just right. I was like sitting in it, but I couldn't see it. Of like how to, and of course, when we do that, then there's not all this pressure, added pressure on the dream to emerge. And I think that's where some of us get hung up. It's like, but wait, I need to be, and it's like, no, okay, one, let's do this in this thoughtful way so you're not drowning the seedling of the idea prematurely. Like we need to let that. So it was really having your help to be systematic and clear, and at the same time, like soul nurturing, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So you come alive in your brilliance at the same time you're putting together a powerful plan, which you were so coachable. So I got to give you lots of kudos on that. You know, I'm a dreamer also, and I think we kind of, that's one of the reasons why we kind of share a lot of similarities in what we wanted in life and how we wanted to express ourselves. You know, because you know my work, I am like, the last thing I want a woman to do is to blow up her current career to pursue something, either a new job, same type of job, or a dream. Like blowing up your current livelihood, your professionalism,
Right.
is no way to start building on a dream. It just doesn't, it's just not even logical. I mean, just take it from the basics. So we got a plan together, helped you exercise your authority and make your current role be a better payoff for you, and got you secure more in, you have leverage and power to exert more economic influence in the world, and feeling that that was flowing better. So it took some pressure off. And now you also have this bandwidth, spiritually, emotionally, psychically, to build the dream.
Yeah.
And I remember very vividly, and I'll probably always remember, watching you craft your dream once we were able to kind of get the primary current career organized. You were crafting your dream on a big wall board.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about how that seedling got planted a little bit, and you were able to start expressing yourself and getting that seedling going.
Yeah. And I think, so one of the things that was so incredible and invaluable about the workshop experience was your help connecting the dots, right? Because part of what needed to be expressed, yes, for me, like like a little poster size, not big enough for me. It literally was a wall size. I put up like big craft paper so that I could be taking this vision board to literally this wall that needed to, it was the way that I needed to organize, you know, 30 some years of life and my career so that I could see what wanted to come to emerge. Yes. One of the things that I loved so much was your help in connecting back. And one of the exercises around like I don't remember, it was early on and it was so powerful, and it had to do with like our early icons, like people we admired. And for me, Jane Goodall has always been. And what's so cool is that I got clear about, I hadn't really thought about Jane Goodall and like what she represented and why that was important and how that was actually part of what I was going to be building. And within a few months of getting clear about the dream and getting reconnected to Jane Goodall, I ended up meeting her because her documentary was coming through LA. And what I love too is that the only reason I got to meet her in person was my new ex-husband was invited, was invited to a special screening because he's a filmmaker and a director, and so was invited me, and it was just such this perfect example of like, you get clear and you start moving toward the dream, and then these things start to show up to invite you along, right? And this was like, I could have been like, my ex-husband inviting me. It was also, by the way, the first time I was going to meet his new partner, now wife, but at the time, like the new person in his life. Yeah. And it was like, but it was such this perfect coming together of like, this is, if we're really true to ourselves and just stay in our positive, our alignment, what is this bringing me? Like getting to meet Jane Goodall. And even better than that, after the film, I was too shy to get my picture taken with her. He's a director, not so shy, and was like, Erin, you need to have this picture. And so I have this amazing picture that like for me represents you and the workshop and my dream, that because I was like in such a powerful self-focus, like in the best way, like who am I, what am I about, what do I want, place, like I have this beautiful photo with Jane Goodall.
That is so amazing. And you know, until you just repeated that story, I had forgotten about that piece. And I clearly remember coaching you around that now. In, you know, the first thing anyone's going to think in that situation is, oh, I don't want to see my ex-husband. I certainly don't want to see him with his new girlfriend. And I'm not going to do that. And so the stimulation of who you wanted to be and what you wanted became your primary driver, rather than the fear-based stuff that it's so easy for us to loop ourselves back into. And what a beautiful gift that the universe does give us when we get clear. And it's, if someone could put in their logical brain, well, that would have happened anyway. But here's the thing, you wouldn't have alighted to the opportunity had it not been bubbled up inside of you.
Yeah.
And it would have never been on the radar screen. It would have never been mentioned. There would have never been a reverberation of the match for your clarity to come through, and the universe basically taking you by the hand.
Well, and even I was still in that, like, well, who am I to meet Jane now? Like, I'm in the, like, in all of this, like, upset in my life, right? So we do that too. It's like, who am I to, like, and so being in this completely different space through the workshop, like, allowed me to be like, who am I to not? Like, how could I not go do that?
Yes.
So, and the other thing too that reminds me, like I had on that wall board was my everything always works out for me, and my do it afraid, and like you just was it uncomfortable to, you know, a little bit, but I could get past that, right? And just do it afraid, do it anyway.
Right. And the thing is that I know was important to you, as it's important to all the women in the workshop. You're on your own personal, total individual path. At the same time, you're being supported by not only the coaches, but also all the women in the workshop who are on their own similar type of path. So you're all traveling through the jungle, Jane Goodall reference totally meant. You're all traveling through the jungle, sort of on your own paths, but you know each other is out there. And the collective spirit of, you got this, Erin, you can do it, been there, done that, I know how you feel, all that camaraderie is an added elixir to you saying, yes, I got this.
Yeah.
So you're doing it afraid, but not alone.
Right. Exactly. No, having the tribe, the community, the peer group, that it's everything. So being in that, because the energy is contagious, right? So we want to keep putting ourselves in the energy of the people who are going to help, you know, cheer us on, help remind us how, you know, our greatness on days where we are having one of those normal, like, oh, can I do this, fear days, right?
Yeah, totally. And so all of that practice of honoring yourself, being in your power, following your dream, getting your current career situation totally locked in so you feel more powerful with that, starting to raise your kids on your own, developing that identity, and 12 weeks of practicing all of that pretty much gave you a solid foundation to say, yep, this is the new me.
Yeah.
How did you feel emerging as the new you and having all of that?
Yeah. Well, it's so, I mean, it just, the better it gets, the better it gets, right? Because you start to see like the momentum, you just, it's expansive, right? Mm-hmm. And you just, I feel like the 12 weeks gives you this toolkit. You get, you know, you have time to practice, right? And that's the new foundation. That's your new launching point.
Yes.
And I love that we can come back over and over to the modules anytime we want to be reminded, because it's not linear. I mean, obviously it's linear. There's 12 weeks. We live in time in that way. Yet it's circular. Like we're going to need, because every time you're up leveling, you need to go back. Okay, what's my new mission? What's the new version of the mission now that I'm, you know, like, so, and what's tool, like all the tools and all the things in the workshop that you can keep. So for each level, you just already kind of know what to do. And I love that confidence of like, I know what to do with this. I know what to do with fear, or I know what to do with confusion, or I need clarity, whatever it is. Like, oh, I know what to do. I have that in my toolkit.
Yes. Yeah. One of the clients who graduated from the workshop sent me one of those kids' tool belts, like a Tonka toy type of tool belt.
Yeah.
After she graduated, she's like, thanks for the toolkit. Here's yours to remind you of what you gave me. And I just thought that was the cutest thing, because that's really what it is. It's a toolkit for life, for being awesome in your life and for following your soul's journey, whatever that may be. And you're right, there's this circular spiral pattern of different iterations. So now you have a new normal of who you are, and that new normal gets to grow.
Yeah.
And then she gets to grow again the next time around, and it just keeps going. And I get the opportunity, as you know, to see the paths of the women who've been through the workshop continue to grow in the grad group, because it's a powerful community there, which is part of the community that allowed us to see your friend and other women in the LA area when I was out there a couple of weeks ago. And that's a powerful sisterhood that just keeps fueling the next level up, and the next version of you, and the next whatever that's going on. So after the 12 weeks, you're kind of set for next version, next V 2.0, 3.0, whichever version it was of Erin Breeze. And I don't know, about a year later, you reached out to me and said, I want to do more. Can we do some more work together?
Yeah, because so some of the connecting of dots had to do with really helping me see what was converging with the organizational work, the consulting work I was doing when I was in the workshop, with the nonprofit work I had done in the arenas of culture building and conflict transformation prior to the consulting work. And then of course my own just lived experience, and then of childhood up to then, but then especially my new divorce lived experience. What was happening was really converging. And what I saw was like, I had I was curating for myself this, a strategy of how do we navigate this kind of change? I had been, helping leaders in different kinds of organizations navigate organizational, professional change. I had been building culture and dealing with conflict in my background. Sorry, I don't know how to not have that happen.
High demand, folks.
Sorry about that. Real life. So that really what I saw emerging was like, I wanted to be able to offer this to more moms coming out of divorce and support them in this way, and realize that the way that I wanted to do it also was in a space of being able to be available to anyone, anywhere. So meaning housing a process that women could access online and through support with me. And so that's what I was like, it was a whisper when we met, and then it was starting to really take more and more form and shape. And so, I came to you like, how do I do this? Help me, coach me, Mo. I need more coaching.
Right. And then lucky for me, I have a mentor that helped me develop my workshop and put those pieces together. Like I said, I could certainly show you, but it's not my expertise. So I sent you the way of that, and you've developed a beautiful workshop and a beautiful solution and answer for women who are going through divorce and have to reconfigure their lives. And the beautiful convergence that you just talked about is almost otherworldly, that everything came together. Had you not claimed your power, I don't believe that your creativity would have been able to pull that together in a way that you can take all that you know formally how to do and put it in the context of women going through divorce and having to reclaim their new culture of their family. And what's the name of your workshop?
It's called Happy Home, Life After Divorce. It's called Happy Home. And it really is like, how do you, and I think, so what I love, when I was just coming to my mind now as you're talking, is like in the workshop was a process of like, we have to first come home to ourselves, right? And have help. We all need help. And if it's like, I hope whoever, like anyone watching this, being reminded that that we all need assistance. Like, no, and you'll never not. This idea that you should at some point get to this place where you don't need a guide or a mentor, like, can we just move past that? Because this, and I see so many women, especially I see so many moms, and then especially coming out of divorce where there's even more pressure to be focused on your kids. Like, everybody says you have to put yourself on hold, your dreams on hold, all of that for them because of how horrible all of this is, right? And it's like, you know, we have to come home to ourselves, and we have to have help to do that. And so being able to be in community and have a guide like you, a mentor like you, who's able to both help us see more clearly the secret whispers, right? The thing that's on our heart to do, and then have the courage and the confidence to go out for it. It's like, and we just, because then that up leveling, it's like, then fear comes in a new form, and then you're there to help us with that. And so it's just like, that's what it's all about, is really being able to just keep being in community with those who can help you see yourself more clearly. And we just all we all thrive when we do that. We have to have it.
Exactly. I've had a coach for 20 years, not the same one, because I've required different things from coaches that I've gone through my journey and expanded. And most of my coaching now is from the folks who coach, some online coaches like us now, in developing not only our mindset for our business, but our soulful expression, so that we can help others up level. When you're now responsible and put yourself in a situation of being responsible for other people's lives and livelihoods, you better be doing the work. And you've done such a brilliant, beautiful job of bringing yourself forward and showing all that you are. What would you say to the Erin of 2.5, 3 years ago, now that you know what you know and understand?
Yeah. Well, for sure, I would tell her, be patient, a little bit patient, right? Like, I think sometimes there's back again that rush to, like, oh, there's something here, I need to figure it out right now. And it's like, okay, but Jane Goodall isn't scheduled for 3 months to even come to have that, like, there's this, we need to trust in this, like, the unfolding. And so I think kind of the more we can kind of go, okay, well, which piece is clear right now, and how do I do that the best I can, right? And focus and nurture that, and not, I think sometimes I have had a tendency, it's like, well, I'm not there yet. I want to be, like, I have the vision, and then I start to use my inspiration, my vision, to criticize the fact that I'm not there yet. And it's like, well, hold on, like, the vision is the thing to help to inspire you to keep moving and to go further. But I think we do that sometimes. It's like, well, then, but I'm not there yet. And then I'm starting to compare. I'm comparing my steps to get to the summit. I'm not at the summit. Well, yeah, because remember, we're on a path to get to the summit, but I'm not at the summit. Well, right, because you chose the path to get to the And I think that's where having a coach is so helpful, to go, but hold on, like, you're on the path to the summit. Like, that's what this is. You can't just, you gotta, it's like a one step at a time, one day at a time, and just keep trusting in that, because these things do, like, it's muscle building. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, and on that note, everything that you're describing is certainly what women in the workshop, both of our workshops now are experiencing. It's like, but I want to get there. Here's the thing that we both know, and we want everyone on the planet to understand. The version of you that is necessary for where you want to be has to get built. She's not there yet. She isn't you yet. You couldn't have built this dream on the version of Erin before you really started expanding your power and owning the truth of what you had to offer the world. You weren't her yet.
Yeah, and I think so, if everybody can allow and give themselves permission to be in the evolution. In that, because it's essential. We can only, like, the version isn't here yet, and don't compare yourself to some, like, your future self is like, could you just be where you are, in that way of honoring where you are, because I'm here for you and I'm cheering you on, and you have to get to me, right? You have to do that. And I think the key, one of the things that I try to do, I certainly learned in the workshop and aspire to do it even more, because I sometimes forget, is celebrating all the evidence that we are on that path. Because what happens is we compare to not being there yet, and then we're like, discounting and not really enjoying all of the evidence of all of the progress. And so if anything, it's like, if you want to accelerate to getting to that version, celebrate the heck out of everything that's showing you that it's working, that you're doing it, that you're stronger today than you were yesterday, that you did something afraid that you'd never thought you could, that, like, gotta just celebrate.
Totally agree. And we start all of our group coaching calls off with that. And I explained it last night to our ladies, why we actually do that.
Yeah.
Not only does it get you to the emotional place of being consistent with that feeling that you want, it also opens your neural pathways so that your creativity and imagination start lighting up, and it gives you the serotonin and the oxytocin of good feelings of watching other people celebrate and having their jam going. And it just lights you up physically, biologically, spiritually. All systems are go. And now you have a fueled car to take you on your journey. And that's the stuff that we as coaches obviously bring to the table, is to help kind of train that type of.
Well, and to see it as essential productive time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the like, if I have time, I'll go do that. Right. Which we have to, which has been ingrained, right, for a lot of us. Like, that is not seen as blockable productive time.
If I'm not doing something, I'm wasting my time.
Right.
So let that be a lesson to all of us, and a reminder, right, that there is being time.
Right.
That's probably in some ways a bigger investment in getting stuff done. If we spend the right beingness, getting things done is easier, more productive.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it better. I mean, that's what we're here on this planet to do. What's a final antidote that you might give a woman who'd be watching this, Erin, and thinking, I don't know if that would help me or apply to me. What was your antidote for them?
Yeah. And it's the, I think, like, that's where kind of the getting quiet and checking in, it's like, we have those voices, right? And like, and being able to separate, like, that's this, like, fear comes in these really kind of, can be really tricky, right, for us. And it often wants to pretend it's keeping us safe, right? And so it comes up into those, I don't know, here's one, like, maybe it won't work for me though. Like, it's great for all these others, right? But she doesn't know my situation, right? And just knowing that too is like, the very least you can do, of course, is get on a call and find out. Like, you owe that to yourself, right? If you're here, there's something intuitively that brought you here to hear the conversation, right? And so just keep allowing that to be the lead, and just the next piece, get the next piece of information, take the next step, because fear makes us think it's just to keep us safe, or keep us at, like, it's skeptical, and it keeps us thinking it's reasonable, and it's so
It's so seductive, and it keeps us away from our power, which is, I mean, and we coach our ladies both on these types of things all the time. The power of the rational mind is exactly what you're talking about. And so where your best self is in your heart and your soul emerging and getting brighter within. And that's the guiding light, and it's the guiding principle of why you've been able to get where you are, and you committed to the journey.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of like pack your bags and say, I'm committed to the journey, because I want in my soul to feel satisfied and happy, and I'm going to do it. And you made a brilliant commitment as soon as we met each other, and it's just been so much fun to continue watching you grow and nurture your soul and bring a better version of you to your little girls who are
I know. And I would say that too, if anybody's like, needs that final little push of an invitation to take in the next step, it's like, there are people around you who need you at your best version. Yes. They're in your household, they're your family, they're your friends, they're your colleagues, like do it for you, and do it for all of those that are going to be, receiving this new contagious energy from you as you do this. Like, it is contagious. Yes. So
and I gotta say, you've got the parenting and the post-divorce workshop, but as you know, every woman who comes into my workshop who has kids, even if they're grown out of the home, they say to me, one of the things I've become through this is a better mother.
Totally.
all the time. And sometimes
Oh,
it's your daughter to elderly parents, sometimes a
absolutely.
better sister,
Absolutely.
friend.
100%. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Do the workshop, if not for you, for yourself to guide your kids, like to have tools for them because you will use it with them. It
that's it.
changes how you have conversations, changes how you ask questions. Like with my vision board that the vision wall, my now 11-year-old, at the time she was 9, started adding to it in the most beautiful way. She would add affirmations, like she would see the do it afraid, and because those were on this, and she added her own affirmations and keep going, and you can do it, mom, and all these beautiful things. And so it really is this, it's not just about you. It's like you're bringing them all forward into this, and that is just priceless. It's the most, because you're forever shifting the trajectory of everything that comes next. Has this completely different energy and shift and possibility.
Wow, that is so great. That is so great. And I adore you. I adore your journey, and I thank you for trusting me and my team, and for where we've come through as friends, and now we're online coaching colleagues and just sharing our journeys. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me today, Erin, and thanks for sharing your story with our ladies. And anyone who's watching this, you can book your clarity call session. That's how it got started with Erin at mofall.com/strategy. Go ahead and book yourself and give yourself the time to spend some time on you, for you. You'll, at the minimum, find out deeply what's really going on and what you really want in your life. And if we can help you, we'll talk about that. Erin, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye.